Hey, Bart in Anaheim, California. Matthew here with freeprescriptionlenses.com, and I'm going to show you how I cut bifocal lenses for one of RayBan's hottest selling frames right now. It is the RayBan 5228. Of course, it comes with a little plastic sleeve on the temple to prevent the temples from rubbing together during shipping, but it's the RayBan 5228 color 2000, which is the classic shiny black in the 50 eye size. This is a great frame. Still classified as the geek chic look. Very simple, narrow temples, very close to the RayBan 2132 new Wayfarer, but with much thinner temples. Mine's a little more rounded. This is a little bit more rectangular and a little bit smaller than my new Wayfarer that I'm wearing. But let's go ahead and begin. I'm going to pop out the original demo lenses, and I'm going to put your RayBan frame into the tracing element of my edger, and I'm going to pull up this shape and hit start. And the first thing that's going to happen is the calipers are going to clamp down, and it's going to begin to trace the shape of the right lens before moving over and tracing the left. Here at freeprescriptionlenses.com, where everyone loves a bargain and no one is disappointed with quality. You buy a genuine, authentic RayBan frame, and you will receive free, clear, single vision prescription lenses or non-prescription fashion lenses. If you just want to rock this frame, there is no charge for non-prescription lenses. And if you have vision insurance or flex dollars, my receipt has my federal ID tax number, so you will be reimbursed from your insurance company or flex dollars with your purchase. So let me set this down for now. Let me pull out your paperwork. Your pupillary distance is 64, near is 61, divided by 2, that is 30.5. So I'm going to make your pupillary distance 30.5. We measure that for the line style bifocal instead of your distance. The bifocal height is 32. So I'm not 32, 13. Let's try that again. I'm going to drop that down to 13. And of course it's going to be the same for the left eye. We're going to cut a bifocal lens. So I'm going to pull up this graph, and I'm going to take your right lens and I'm going to drop it onto the platform. Now this is a block. This is what's going to hold your lens in place while it is cutting. It has a double-sided adhesive sticker attached to it. The green side is the sticky side. I'm going to pull the paper away to make this side sticky. And this is your bifocal lens. I'm just going to get it lined up perfectly with my graph so it's sitting in the right place. And then I'm going to hit this button, and that's going to drop the arm down and apply the block to your lens. I'm going to do the same thing now for your left lens. Bring it over. 30.5, 13 millimeters high. Get it lined up just perfectly. Got a little smudge on that lens. Of course, we're going to clean that all off at the end, but I can just see that on while it's on the platform. So I'm getting it lined up perfectly in the graph. I'm going to grab another one of these blocks, pull the paper away to make this side sticky. Now this little silver button is a magnet. This is what's going to hold it in place in the arm. Hit that button, the arm comes down and applies the block to your lens. So I'm going to go over here. Now the cutting wheel is over here on the far right. It's going to act like a heavy grit sandpaper that's going to grind away your lens material until it's the final shape. This magnet again is going to hold it in place in the chuck, or as I like to say, the Charles. I'm going to pull up the shape of your lens onto the computer, and I'm going to hit the start button. The door closes, the clamp shuts, and then the lens is going to move up into place, and calipers are going to trace the shape of your lens all the way around, measuring the thickness at every point, knowing exactly where to place the bevel so it's going to fit best inside your frame so you have no edge thickness sticking out. The cutting wheel is going to move into place, and in just a moment you will hear the grinding sound as your lens begins to take shape. Now your lenses are made out of polycarb. Polycarbonate is 40% thinner and lighter than regular plastic. It is also virtually unbreakable, as well as being bulletproof up to 22 caliber. It has both UVA and UVB protection built into it. We know what the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays can do to your skin, but your eyes are 8 times more sensitive than your skin, more vulnerable. So you have permanent sunscreen for your eyes that never needs to be reapplied. Unlike the lotions and sprays and creams that have to be reapplied every few hours, this is permanent. It will never cut off because it's embedded into your lens. It also has one of the industry's best scratch protection to protect your lens just in case life happens. It is now measuring the thickness again to know exactly where to place the bevel, so it fits best inside your frame. So it's going to drop down onto the bevel wheel. Your lens is still completely flat all the way around, just like a nickel. I could stand it on the counter, but now it's actually going to get the V-shaped bevel, so it stays inside the bevel of the frame and will never come out. At least unwanted will it never come out. So water is just sprayed. If you notice, it's been cutting dry this whole time. Polycarbonate cuts dry where plastic and high index lenses cut wet. This kicks in for the last 20 seconds just to wash away any optical debris. Now this arm is going to come down in place. The lens is the final size, but it's going to smooth out the back surface of the lens, actually the front surface first, before smoothing out the back surface of the lens, so you have no rough edges of being applied to your frame. So it has just completed the front surface. Now it's applying the safety bevel to the back surface. This machine costs $40,000. I recommend everyone go out and get one. It weighs 200 pounds. Put it on your kitchen counter and then you can cut glasses at home. You won't need me anymore. So the door is going to open. I'm going to take my paper towel, hit the button to open up the clamp. Grab your lens, dry it off. Inspect the lens just to make sure all the optical debris is gone. And let's go ahead and get it mounted into your RayBan 5228. I tuck it in at the outside corner, then use my thumbs. I press down at the nose, and there's still a little bit of give, so I don't want to force it in there. I'm going to take it out. Where's my little stylus? And I'm going to take it down about 1/10 of a millimeter. Now, a millimeter, to all my American friends who have no clue, it is the distance between my thumbnails. I'm going to take 1/10 of that distance off all the way around the circumference of the lens until it fits in there easily. There's a golden rule when it comes to cutting lenses, same as cutting wood. You can always cut more off of a lens. You can never add it back on. So I start a little bit large and then work my way down until it fits perfectly. If I were, some people will actually heat up the frame in these little polished glass beads. Now I will use it to adjust the temples so that it fits better behind people's ears, but I never use it on the front of the frame. I install what's known as the cold mount. I pop the lenses into the frame while it is cold. Some people like to heat up the front of the frame to make it more pliable, to make it snap in easier. I do a cold mount because I do not want to stretch your frame, or as we in the business call roll. If you can imagine your frame being like a gutter, because that's what it is. It is shaped like this. If the lens is put in there too large, it's going to force your frame to roll outwards and give you an ugly cosmetic appearance. Because I'm a perfectionist and I cut every pair of lenses that is shipped worldwide, I will not send out any subpar work from my lab. Plus, I want to make it easy for you in the future. Should you ever need new prescription lenses in 2 to 3 years, I can mail you just the lenses right to your home and you can pop them in yourself. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to do right now. I'm going to open up the clamp, pull your lens out, and again, to insert any lens into a plastic frame, you have the temples pointed downward, the frame upright. I have the side I'm working on closest to me. I'm not trying to reach across the frame. So, perpendicular to my body with my elbows touching my side, arms bent at a right angle. I tuck it in at the outside corner, then using my thumbs, I push down at the nose, and it snaps in easily when this block is not in the way. I'm going to take this block off, and actually, well, let's dry everything off again, but let's go ahead and start cutting your left lens. I'm going to put it in, grab my stylus, flip that over to L, and hit start. And just like before, the calipers, the door closes, the clamp comes down to clamp shut, and now the caliper are going to measure the thickness of your lens going all the way around to figure out where to place the lens so it fits best perfectly inside the frame, so you have no portion of your lens exposed beyond the frame itself, to give you the best cosmetic finish possible. So as soon as the left lens begins cutting, I'm going to continue to work on the right lens. I'm going to inspect it to make sure it is cut perfectly. Come on, left lens, start cutting. Start cutting. Okay, so your prescription in your right eye reads -50, -1 at 101. The prescription in your left eye -1/4, -1 at 75. The power, the first power is -50, so I'm going to turn the axis drum, or my power drum, to -50. I'm going to put the axis at 101. I'm going to put your lens in, and I'm going to read -50. Now you have an additional one diopter of astigmatism correction. I'm going to check that, and we're reading -150, which is exactly halfway between 1 and 2. Now the unit of measurement we use in the optical world is called a diopter, spelled D-I-O-P-T-E-R, and it starts at 0, which I call plano, other people call non-prescription, and goes up from there. 0.25, 0.50, 0.75, 1, 1 1/4, 150, 175, 2, and so on, up to 20. So this first number, you actually need 2 steps of correction without your glasses on. Things are actually just slightly larger than they really do appear. So when you put your glasses on, it will bring everything down to the correct size. Only 2 steps. Now you need 4 steps of correction for your astigmatism in both eyes. There is a stigma over the word astigmatism. It just means shape. It's like saying someone has straight hair, someone else has curly hair. That is it. It is just a shape. It is not a disease. It is not an affliction. But everyone freaks out with that word. It fluctuates, it comes and goes, and it's no big deal in my opinion. So, this first number makes everything the correct size. Astigmatism is what makes 6s and 8s look alike, and that's why you squint to try and make that out. That's why the letters P and F look alike. So most of your prescription is astigmatic. Now for your left eye, you only need 1 step of correction to get everything the correct size, but you still need an additional 4 steps of astigmatism correction to make everything clear. Now if astigmatism is the fine-tuned knob, a straight line is 0 to 180. We're going to turn that knob just past the 90th meridian to 101. For your left eye, we're going to turn it to about 75. Now the first 2 numbers are real values to be concerned with. This last number could be anywhere from 0 to 180. It just tells us where to turn that knob to make everything nice and crisp. Now the add, this means in addition to what's on top, you need an additional 2 full diopters, which is 8 steps to magnify. So this is why you add these 2 numbers together. If you were to get reading glasses, although you're different in your eyes, you subtract -50 from 2 and you need about a 150 to 175, but you can do with a 150 because it'll probably last you a little bit longer. So let me take the lens out of the chuck, dry everything off, come back over, grab your frame, and again, this time I have the empty side closest to me, perpendicular to my body. I'm going to tuck it in at the outside corners, and using my thumbs I press down at the nose. It snaps in perfectly. I'm going to take the block off. It is no longer needed. Dry the lens off again. And I'm going to put it in, spin the axis wheel to 75. Inspect your lens, and I'm getting -1/4. The smallest amount you can have is 1 tick mark away from 0. Again, you have a full diopter of astigmatism correction, so we end up with 1 1/4. Remember high school algebra, you add 2 like signs together, but using today's vernacular, if someone borrowed 25 cents and then they borrowed an additional $1, they would owe you $1.25. We are at 125, 1 1/4. So that is made perfectly. Your distance, pupillary distance, is 64. The near is 61. So I'm going to take this out, pull the card around, and measuring from the inside of this bifocal to the outside of this one. I'm going to place it at 0 against my thumb on your right lens, and we're getting 61 millimeters, so that is cut perfectly. This is the traditional line style bifocal. I also have this graph. I want to make sure that your lenses are in there straight, and they are. That is cut perfectly. And the last thing I want to do while cleaning your lenses off is explain that when you get these in the mail, there's a small chance that they could fit loose or fit tight, but there's an 80% chance that one side is going to be higher than the other. That's because 80% of people have one ear that's higher than the other. But I'm going to go ahead and get them in standard alignment first. Oop, one more measurement. Your bifocal height is 13. Place my PD stick on the line, and when we get to the center of the frame, we're getting 13 millimeters there, 13 millimeters there. We're looking right to the center of the bottom of the frame. The thickest point divided in two, and we're getting 13 millimeters. But I'm going to get your frame in standard alignment, also known as a 3-point stance, 1, 2, and the bottom of the frame being 3. I set it on the counter and press down. There is no wobble. When I say wobble, I'm part of that 80%. When I take my glasses off and press down, there is a wobble on the table, but they sit level on me. I flip them over, press down. There is no wobble. I make sure that each temple overlaps perfectly, and they do, and they're not skewed by any means. And then there's the same amount of tension on each hinge, each springed hinge, and there is. So that's that. If anyone has any questions about what I can or can't do, just email me at freeprescriptionlenses@gmail.com. Bart in Anaheim, California. I hope you enjoyed watching me as I made RayBan's most popular ophthalmic glasses. It is, again, the RayBan 5228 color 2000, which is the classic shiny black in the 50 eye size 50. And hopefully everyone else has got the chance to see how I bring that love and feeling back to glasses. Thank you.